Sorry, TDSec. And we're live on YouTube. So with and we are live. Magandang hapon sa lahat and welcome to Work from Home Pythonista. And thank you so much for joining us today. I am one of your hosts, Sonny Valdez, and with me is Jay, and we are both members of the Board of Trustees of Python Philippines. Work from Home Pythonista is a monthly webinar talk show where we interview different Pythonista representing various roles and industries to give people in the community an insight of what their typical workday looks like. We showcase different Pythonista and show how they think outside the box while being inside the comfort of their own homes as a digital nomad setup. So, we have Jay to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you for that, Sonny. So our guest for today is Oshean. Oshean is a development practitioner for 11 years, and he recently shifted to the tech sector in 2019. So he specializes in environmental planning, urban, and regional planning and development. And he also specializes in Geographic Information Science, or also known as GIS. Currently, he is affiliated with Thinking Machines Data Science as a geospatial analysis, in which he solves clients' problems through various geospatial analysis. He also analyzes business intelligence for clients for the public and private sectors. I guess I'll leave the floor to you, Oshean.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Python Philippines. Hello. Thank you for inviting me for today's episode of Work from Home Pythonista. So yeah, before I start, I actually prepared a video. I'm not sure if we can share it here or should I be the one to share it instead?
Go ahead and share.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, while Sonny's still opening the video, again, thank you. Hello everyone. I am Oshean, and yeah, it's nice to be here. So I was actually invited here by Carl, so he's also here in the audience right now. He's actually my intern at Thinking Machines, so I'm his manager. And so yeah, that's why I'm here right now. Anyway, so wait. I can share my screen instead, but let me know if you can see it. Share sound. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, cool. Let me know if you don't hear the sound. Okay. Good afternoon, Pythonistas. How's it going? My name is Oshean, and I am a geospatial analyst from Thinking Machines Data Science. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Python Philippines for inviting me as their speaker for today's episode of Work from Home Pythonistas. And today, I would like to share to you my current work from home setup. So, ito yung nasa likod ko, and I'll be showing you each of the equipment that I am using as a geospatial analyst and how do I use them for my everyday work. So I have two monitors. So the first one is a Samsung monitor and the second one is a Philips monitor. So yung Samsung, it's actually curved. On top of my Samsung monitor, we have this lamp. I can turn on and off the lights. And in here, we have my webcam. This webcam is from Logitech, and this is what I use whenever I have calls. This is very crisp and clear in terms of picture quality, and I highly recommend this one if you need a camera for your work from home setup. For these two monitors, I have a monitor arm from North Bio. It's a dual monitor arm. So the next one that I have here would be, of course, my laptops. I have two laptops here. So the first one is my work laptop. This is a Lenovo ThinkPad. This was provided by Thinking Machines. So this is what I use whenever I need to code, whenever I need to work, whenever I need to take my calls. Anything that's Thinking Machines related, I use this laptop. On the other hand, I have here my gaming laptop. So this is my personal laptop and I use this whenever I want to play. This is an Asus ROG Strix G15. I love this because yeah, I can play Valorant smoothly in this laptop. So for all Valorant players out there, yeah, this is a highly recommended laptop. I'm pretty sure that most of you guys will agree with me on this, but I think almost everyone in the tech sector who's working from home would definitely have at least a mechanical keyboard. What I'm using right now is a Keychron K8, and I bought this last year. And what I like about this one is that I can use it wired and wirelessly. So it has a Bluetooth connection and a wired connection. And at the same time, you can also change its colors. I changed the keycaps to like crystal keycaps because I'd like to see the colors pop better whenever I'm typing. So the next item on my work from home equipment would be my mouse. So this is what I mainly use at work. So this is a Logitech MX Master 3. And yeah, what I like about this is that it's ergonomic and you can connect this up to 3 devices using Bluetooth, and you can also connect it using a wired connection. Also has a very fancy side scroll, and then it also has this 2 clicky buttons where you can use it if you want to use the back and forward function of your desktop or your browser. And then it also has like a thumb clicker here. Yep, so I don't know if you can see it. It has a, I'm not sure if they call it like a electromagnetic scroller, but yeah, you can use this scroller if you want to scroll all the way down on your page. But aside from this, I have my gaming mouse, which I use whenever I want to play. And last from my list of mice would be my Apple mouse. So I mainly use this for my iPad, which I will show you next. Here is my iPad. Currently, I use this for a lot of sketching. So I'm actually part of the business intelligence team of Thinking Machines. I use this heavily whenever I needed to do wireframes or mock-ups or even some designs of some of the dashboards that I do, some of the web apps that I design, and some of the UI and UX stuff that I need to do for work. Then this is what I use. I like doing my sketches here. And of course, a work from home setup wouldn't be complete without a really nice microphone. I have the Boya PM700 microphone, and I really like this because the sound is very crisp and clear. I highly recommend this. This is relatively cheaper versus those that are of like radio station quality microphones that you have in the market. So this one is pretty nice, and yeah, I definitely recommend this. And if I don't want to get distracted easily, I have my headphones here, which is from Takstar. This one is also nice, and it's relatively cheaper also than the wireless ones. What I also like about this is that you can adjust the bass functions of this. So very useful siya. So if you want those deep bass sounds and voices, then this is definitely a must-have. And of course, work from home Pythonistas, our setup won't be complete if we don't have a good chair. So here I have this chair from Sihu. I highly recommend this too because it feels very comfortable whenever I'm sitting here. I can sit here for hours. It still feels very comfortable and hindi sobrang sumasakit yung likod ko whenever I'm sitting here and whenever I use this chair. And so yeah, this is my current work from home setup. More than half of this is actually sponsored by Thinking Machines. So what I really like about Thinking Machines is that since we're in a work from home setup, so definitely they want us to create a space for us to be able to work productively. And so they helped us teammates to buy what we need so that we would be able to perform our jobs. And with that, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this segment of the show, and see you. Bye. All right, that's it for my work from home setup.
I like that video a lot.
Thank you. I'm not sure what to add, but I didn't add everything. Pero yeah, siguro I forgot to mention the speakers that I am using right now. So sometimes if I don't want to use my headphones, the ones that I showed, yeah, I also use my speakers. They're very helpful whenever I'm taking calls. And yeah, the problem kasi with like some of the headphones is that it would, if it's leather, so it tends to be hot on your ears. So yeah, so sometimes it's not really that helpful. Yeah, so that's why I use speakers sometimes. Yeah, so you guys might wonder why I have like 3 mics. um Sorry about that, but yeah, but this one is like, it's free on the laptop when I bought it, but this is the one that I got from Thinking Machines. And then the other one is, it's discounted, that's why I bought this. Yeah, that's only the reason. But yeah, siguro this is the kind of setup that helps me for now. I'm also planning to do some upgrades in the future, especially I want to change my table. Yeah, and some of, improve like the overall mood of my setup, because as of right now, Thinking Machines is not planning to go back to the office, at least until the end of this year. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all for my setup.
Oh, thank you for that magnificent setup. I feel like that it's the ideal like guy setup, really. And uh, I guess moving forward, do you have like, I'm just curious, what's your opinion regarding like standing desk? Does the thinking machine like having those?
Yes, actually, you know what? We actually have standing desks in our office. But yeah, but right now, actually the company can also buy for us, but there's like a budget limit. But yeah, like personally, that's like one of the things that I've always wanted to buy for the longest time. But for me, it's not really a priority right now. And it's like amongst all of the work from home equipment, it's probably one of the most expensive ones, right? It's not really the laptop or what, but it's really the standing desk, because the value of it is that, well, it definitely helps you on your posture, because every day we're sitting like more than 8 hours a day, and I feel like it's really really important for us to stand once in a while and try to be active. Yeah, so yeah, but the standing desks that I am currently checking out right now, they're a bit expensive. So I guess I can save it for another day.
Yeah. Also, this just to remind everyone that you could post your questions in the Zoom chat and we will read it for the speaker. Just so you know, it's okay. Uh,
Speaking of questions, someone on YouTube named Mr. Valdez is asking, are you using the Boya microphone right now?
Yes, I am. I am using it right now. Yeah. I highly recommend this mic, because really it's relatively cheaper, like versus like the other brands or the other mics, like yung Quad X, the Corsair ones. This one is really good, and it's relatively cheaper, like half the price of those brands that I've mentioned. Yeah, keep the questions coming. I'd really appreciate those questions.
I'm curious on how often have you used the what do you call it? Imac mouse or iMouse, I guess. Because I believe I also have the same mouse. I believe when I also have like the iPad, I was using this instead of like uh the dedicated mouse from Apple. So how does it help?
I only use this whenever I go out with my iPad, and if I'm not carrying if I'm not carrying a lot of stuff, and I only need my iPad, and if I want to, to have a change of scenery, if I want to work somewhere else and do my wireframes, my mock-ups, my sketches, I would go out and then bring my iPad instead of just this one. So I also have a yeah, I forgot to mention, I also have like the magic keyboard for the iPad, so that's why yeah, like instead of me bringing my laptop to do my sketches, I would just bring my iPad. And so yeah. um
It's so magical that it's changing colors in front of us.
there, yeah. Yeah, maybe some of our audience members are curious, no? Like, oh, what does like a geospatial analyst do? Siguro that's one thing that I can emphasize on. So essentially, what we do in our field is that when we're doing a lot of analysis for our clients and for the beneficiaries of our projects and all of those. A lot of the things that we're answering are, of course, the questions of where and why. So and that's where geospatial analysis comes in. And um and since, like, versus maybe compared to other types of like analysis, when we're doing Python or data science in general, a lot of the things that we're seeing are numbers. So probably the difference here is that when you're doing geospatial analysis, you shouldn't think about numbers only. You also have to think about the visuals of these things, the images, and what's in it for those who are living there. And I remember I have this one colleague, maybe you know her, si Daniel Dalisay, si Danny. Because we're both career shifters and we both came from the development sector. And then there's this one story wherein she mentioned that she was having a field work, like a field presentation to this community in Mindoro, and she was with her boss, and then they were presenting something about I can't remember if it's like hepatitis or dengue, but it's something related to public health. So her boss is presenting all of these charts, tables, numbers. 50% of this community are experiencing this X and Y, X and Y. And a lot of people are actually weren't listening at all. But when her boss suddenly showed up the map that Danny did, that's where the attention came in. See? So why is that so? The reason for that is because when a person or a community sees a map, especially the map of their area, it's something that they can relate to. And I feel like that's something that we working in the tech sector should do something aggressively and heavily on how these numbers and how these data can relate to them. So yeah, that's why I like working on the geospatial analytics side of data science, using Python, using SQL, yeah, to deliver these insights to the people and what's in it for them and how it would give value to them.
Dale Duciano said, better storytelling with data.
Yeah, correct, right? And sometimes it's better storytelling when you show maps. So like you could feel like the connection is really there.
And Cardian Vinas also mentioned that it should be the norm to relate the data to the clients. And on YouTube, Mr. Barces said, I can imagine the maths are also scaring them.
Sorry, the what?
The mathematics is scaring them.
Oh, that's a good point. It's more to be more specific. You have to have at least a good knowledge of geometry, and yeah, geometry at least, like the very basics of it, of how shapes are like related to each other. Because sometimes when like in Python or in SQL, like when you're doing joins like on tables, like the inner joins, outer joins, it's a bit different when you're working with geospatial analysis. So when you're working with geospatial data, the joins are different, like the rules are different. It's a bit similar, but at the same time, because you're dealing with shapes, so sometimes we get to encounter these little nuances that we had to investigate for a little more time. And the thing also when you're working with geospatial data is that by nature it's really large, because it's consuming like data, not just like on texts, but it's also consuming data graphically. So yeah.
Actually, I have a question because, as everyone know, Oshean was a development practitioner for 11 years, and his recent shift to tech on 2019. I I like to ask about it. Like, what are the main difficulties that you have experienced when like transitioning to the like tech sector? Like, obviously, from someone new, it would I believe it might be somewhat difficult, but could you like share your story on how you like begin? Or
Ah,
yeah.
yeah, sure. Thank you for that question, Jay. So I think with this story that I'm going to share, I think I would be able to answer Vanny's question also on the chat. But so just to give you an idea of where I came from. So yeah, so I've been working for 11 years, but for the first 8 years of my career, I was in the development sector. And then in 2019, I transferred to thinking machines. So fun fact, I came in at thinking machines not knowing Python at all. As in like zero knowledge in Python. Like you can call me like a blank slate. I don't know how to open variables. I don't know how to well, I only had like I only attended this like 2-day workshop that was hosted by Doc Reina Bel Reyes. Yeah, she's very famous in the data science community. But I feel like it's not enough. Like you really won't learn anything within 2 days. But yeah, I came into thinking machines without knowledge in Python, without knowledge in cloud computing. I don't know Google Cloud Platform before. I don't know AWS. I don't even know how to do SQL. So, as in nothing. But I came in at Thinking Machines and I was hired as a GIS analyst before because I know how to make maps. So, the tech stack that I got exposed with at first are those tools where I can make maps. Like, so maybe you guys are familiar with ArcGIS, QGIS. Yeah, these two are like the most famous tools. Yeah. I didn't even know how to use Mapbox before, Carl. So like I only know how to make maps. That's the idea. So back in the day, in 2000, parang akala mo naman tagal na, no? Pero no, parang in 2019 kasi, that was the time when thinking machines was in a really hyper growth stage. So we are growing fast. And funny story also is that I came in like I'm like employee number 56, something like that. But right now, we're almost at like 160 people for the past 3 years, so we're still growing aggressively because we have a lot of projects coming in, we have a lot of clients coming in, and yeah, the mission is there, especially from my end, from my case. Yeah, I feel like I wanted to help more organizations and people on delivering value to their to their everyday lives, especially on using geospatial data. So yeah, so right now the tools that I am using as of this day, of course Thinking Machines is a Google Cloud partner, so we're an official GCP partner, and so we use Google Cloud, GCP heavily a lot. Some of us also use AWS, but it really depends on the nature of the project. But most of us, we really use GCP in our analysis. Yeah, so BigQuery, we're power users of BigQuery. You can find a lot of information about BigQuery or the Google Cloud products in our blog posts, which I can share later. And aside from that, yeah, so now 3 years after, I already know how to use Python. I already know how to use SQL. Oops, sorry, nah, I got muted. But I still use QGIS, but only if I needed to do mock-ups and I needed to draw some, static maps. But right now, I would say I'm a heavy user of Tableau. So for those who are not familiar what Tableau is, so Tableau is a business intelligence tool that helps organizations extract insights from their data by creating dashboards, charts, yeah, and I would say that I've also had like a fair share of experience um, on design elements. Being more conscious about the colors that you should use, on how the buttons should be clicked, on how the interface should look like, especially on the context of geospatial analysis. Um, um, at some point in time, I also used Mapbox, but not heavily. I only know how to use the studio, but I don't know, but I'm not really good at like doing the React side of it, the JavaScript part of it. Like, no. But yeah, so that's one cool thing about like working in the consultancy, in a tech consultancy. You get to try and play with a lot of tools. Yeah. So yeah, those are the tools that I'm working right now. So yeah.
Luis asked a question. What made you interested to work in geospatial?
Yeah, siguro I can say that the reason why I became interested is because ever since I was a visual learner, so I learn best, or I appreciate things more whenever I see them on pictures and I see colors versus seeing them in numbers. I mean, I also learn, whenever I see numbers, and I also like coding. Back then when I was in college, yeah, my dream course was really to take computer science, but I didn't pass the computer science degree when I took the UPCAT. So yeah. So I took human ecology when I was in college, and then I specialized on environmental planning. And that's when the civic side of me was born. Like, I don't know if like some of us would have like the experience of, okay, after college, I want to work and I want to earn money, and I want to work. But for me, when I started taking a social environmental course, my perspective became different in the world. It's really more about like giving value, delivering value, helping people on how on how to improve their lives, especially with tech. And that's how I see geospatial work being very valuable in the everyday lives of people. Yeah. If not for maps, we wouldn't have so many things in this world. Yeah. Yeah, and also the beauty of, not just seeing these maps and like it's already like a bonus point or a plus point if you get to be in that area. Like for example, if you see a map of another country and then you get to be there, okay, like that's probably one of the best feelings that you can ever have if you're working in the geospatial side of things.
Maps are amazing.
Uh,
Jeff P from YouTube asks, would you consider your job as math heavy?
Well, that's a good question. Okay. Just a disclaimer that different teammates, yeah, that's our moniker at Thinking Machines. We call ourselves teammates, like TM. They would have like different perspectives because we're working on different kinds of projects and different kinds of activities. But but like a general rule, I would say, not just maybe for me, or I think everyone in the tech sector, I would say the job is logic heavy. So if you don't have logic skills, you won't survive in tech. That I would say, I'm pretty sure everyone will agree. If you don't think logically, like you don't have like good and sound reasoning, in order for you to explain things, whatever is happening with your code, whatever is happening with your data, or whatever is happening with your dashboards, then you won't really survive in tech. So that's the number one thing that you should master first. Having that logic skills, because everything else I swear will follow. Because the first 6 months that I had the Thinking Machines, it was a struggle for me, to be honest with you, learning these new tools. But what made me survive is having that logic skill. So yeah, like sometimes it's hard to study Python, sometimes it's hard to study like the other languages, but if you're able to start somewhere, then especially having that logic skill, then the rest will follow. That I swear. Yeah.
Apparently, computers don't care about your feelings.
That's
why
true.
it's all logic.
That's correct.
Dale has a question. He is a third-year electrical engineering student, and he is planning to shift to the IT industry after graduation. And he's seeing himself working in data science and machine learning. So I guess his main my main point with this one is what are your like tips like when shifting to like another field?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that siguro for me kasi I started going to tech by having a domain expertise already, but almost like zero knowledge in doing tech. So right now, if you're an electrical engineering student, then if there's like a specific domain there that you might be interested to work on, and you can answer this on your own, in a sense that you can answer this question, that how can I use data to improve this specific discipline, because that's the question that I was able to answer before coming into thinking machines. So I think that's my challenge for those who want to shift to tech, because technology is basically a tool that can help us in our everyday lives. And how can it help you, and how can it help the field that you're very much interested to? So if you're interested in data science and ML, like what specific use case? Is it for sustainability, for climate change, for the transport sector, for the energy sector? Do you want to contribute on using data and machine learning to to make predictions, or to make analytic predictions on what would be the forecast of energy usage 10 to 20 years from now, and how it will affect the world, especially how it will affect you. A lot of scientists in the world, if you notice, that's how they operate, by having this specific domain knowledge that they're very, very interested to, and then the rest will follow. Yeah, the rest will follow. Yeah.
Vani asked this question: what is the most interesting project that you have done in terms of geospatial analysis?
Okay, that's this is a really tough question, because I would say that almost every project, that I'm doing at Thinking Machines, they're very interesting. But I would say that the closest to my heart would always be those in the development and the sustainability sector. So, like, there was this one project that we did at Thinking Machines. We also published a paper on this on URIPS 2020. So this is called the interpretable poverty mapping through social media data, through geospatial data. So that's this is probably one of the most interesting projects that I had at Thinking Machines. And fun fact also, this is like my first research paper in my whole life, where I'm one of the authors. And yeah, and we're also happy to say that it won actually best paper at the NeurIPS 2020 Machine Learning for Development conference. Getting in at NeurIPS is really hard. It's one thing, but winning a paper, it's like a bonus for us already. But yeah, that's something that we're very happy doing, poverty mapping. The reason why we're doing projects for, especially for poverty mapping, is because we wanted to identify areas that are that would need help, and we are working, or rather we worked with multilateral agencies like the United Nations Development Program, so that they could focus their efforts on these areas versus those areas that they're already rich, like they can handle themselves, they have enough resources, unlike other areas that some of these areas, they can't even eat like 3 times a day, or some of them would have like high malnutrition rates. So these are some of the things that we're really happy working with, and we see the value of data and how it helped our partners in this endeavor.
Yeah, I guess I'm happy to like read this paper, and hopefully you can share it later on.
Yeah, it's published on Arxiv, so I can share it later if you want.
Sonny, is there a question from YouTube?
Oh, sorry about that. So Jeff P asks, how many % of coding is coding part of your day-to-day activities?
Okay. Yeah. Just again, my answer might be different from my colleagues kasi mas code heavy sila. But in my case, I would say like 30% or like 20 to 30% of my job is coding, and I still use Python sometimes whenever I needed to automate my workflow. I'm a heavy pandas user. I'm a heavy geopandas user. Yeah, so these are my top two Python modules or Python libraries that I use. But whenever I am encountering data that's very large, like gigabytes or terabytes, and I needed to do processing on them, that's when I do. That's when I use SQL. I just run it on BigQuery, and then like after a few seconds, and it's done. Yeah. 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 I would say 20 to 30%, and the rest would be it's really more about need finding, client comms, like because I'm part of the business intelligence team, and our team is really about how do we use the insights from your data so that we would be able to improve your business, or that we would be able to improve, or what would be the benefit of it for your beneficiaries. So yeah, it's more of that, and some of them are dashboarding. Yeah, I really love Tableau. So guys, if you want to use like a really nice dashboard, if you want to make a very nice dashboard with better customization, Tableau is our go-to. It has a free version and it has a paid version. So yeah, for the free version, you only need to have like an account and you can save it online. Yeah, the paid version, it's when that's when you can connect to different cloud platforms.
Also a question, another question from Carl. This regarding your MX3 mouse. What do you have like shortcut buttons or config on your buttons for MX3?
For this one, honestly,
Yeah.
wala. No, I just use. I don't have any configs but yeah, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have configs. But I heavily use the scrolls, like especially the side scroll, whenever I needed to do like a horizontal scroll. And for these two, yeah, I just use the back and forth. I'm sorry, Carl. Yeah, I haven't configured it yet, but maybe hopefully soon. Yeah. Well, yeah, the purpose of the reason why I just bought is really for for the ergonomic side of it. Yeah. Okay.
Also,
Okay.
I guess, Sonny.
There's no question from YouTube right now. Although, um, even on YouTube, people are saying that are commenting on your MX Master 2S. So you have lots of fans. Or maybe or maybe it's the mouse that has a lot of fans. And we're all connected to that.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
there's like a newer version that just released, the MX Master 3S. So the difference of that is that the clicker is now more silent than this one. But come on, we're in tech. We like clicky stuff.
uh, it didn't show up. Jay, my co-host, showed his own mouse.
Sorry.
Jay showed
Uh,
his own mouse. Go ahead,
yeah,
Jay.
I also
I
own the
just
same.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
apparently
for me, it's just really helpful, and as you mentioned, the ergonomics of it. Uh, for me, I have this one question: if you are like given a free time to do your personal project, do you have like some issues that you want to like tackle at the back of your head, or any ideas that you want to like try and bootstrap basically your personal project?
That's a good question. Siguro if given, see, we can put it in a very hypothetical context. If for example, if I happen to be like the best data scientist there is in the world, like if that was the case, or if I have all the knowledge that I have, I would work on something that would definitely solve our traffic problems. But I would say that right now, yeah, parang it's actually like traffic is something that is it gets to be explained in a very complex way, but at the end of the day the answer is really just simple. Like you can get all of the data that you want, showing like this road lengths, the number of cars passing by and are traversing on this road, the traffic or the jams, or all of these things. But at the end of the day, we all know that there's only one answer to, like, there's only like two answers to that. So it's either you have less roads or you have more cars. That's why there's traffic. And I think, yeah, I mean, if I'm like the brightest data scientist in the world, I would just, show proof to everyone that, it's either of those two. So yeah.
And I thought it was supposed to be human errors.
Yeah.
Anyways, John Fandador, nice name, asks, I'm currently working as a GIS operator using QGIS for almost 3 years. Any other trainings that you recommend?
Start learning Python. like like QGIS can only do as much. Like it can help you on processing small data sets. That's for sure. Like if you're working on like a barangay or like a municipal level, yes, QGIS is fine. But if you're going to start working, or if more data are coming into your like repository, and if you're yeah, because data also evolves and it also grows the more that you need it every single day. Yeah, the more that it evolves, the more that you needed to use other tools for you to be able to process these things. And the beauty of knowing Python, the beauty of knowing SQL, the beauty of using cloud platforms is that you get to scale up your workflow. So like, for example, if you're using QGIS right now to do to intersect two tables, and these two tables would have like what, 50 rows, then fine, QGIS is fine. Like you can also visualize it agad, diba? But what happens if that your 50 rows suddenly got bloated because you needed to feed more data, and you suddenly need to process, say, 1,000,000 rows, or like 100,000 rows? Gawin na lang natin 100,000, I think QGIS is not like your best. QGIS is not your best friend there, and that's when cloud technology comes in. Yeah. So I'm a heavy GCP user, and I would say when I started learning BigQuery, started learning Vertex AI, AI platform in Google, my life really changed. Like when I came into thinking machines, when I started learning all of these things, that's when I started pondering, these are the tools that I wish I would have known like 5 years ago, because so I would be able to like solve problems that I had 5 years ago or like 7 years ago. And yeah, that's the beauty of learning technology. It could be intimidating at first, but I swear, just have like a logic skill. Like logic is really important, and the drive to learn new things, and always being fascinated by technology and how it can help our everyday lives. Then you won't get stuck. There's always something to learn every single day. Yeah.
To follow up on that, since you mentioned it, do you have anything in mind, future tech stack that you want to learn? Tell us about it.
Oh yeah. I'll be honest, I've always been intimidated by AWS. But yeah, but that's something that I've also wanted to explore further, because I've always been a heavy GCP user, but I'm also curious learning AWS and other cloud platforms, AWS and Azure, especially Azure, because right now Microsoft is actually they have this product called this planetary they have this like planetary platform. It's like their version of Google Earth engine. So they house like different kinds of Earth satellite imagery wherein you can process it from their cloud servers. And I'm also interested if seeing the differences of this cloud platforms and how they are different and how they're same from each other, and when do you use this, and when's the best time to use GCP, when's the best time to use Azure. Yeah. Yeah, so probably that's one thing. And speaking of that um I'm also interested to learn Power BI. I work at the BI team, but honestly, I don't know how to use Power BI. I mean, I've tried using it once. Yeah, but I didn't like the experience. But I guess but for some people, they like using it, and I'm also interested on how it could be useful as well, especially on using geospatial data. But overall, I feel like it has also its like use cases that would fit that Tableau won't be able to offer. So those are the things that I also want to learn. Um, if I have the time in the world and not do anything else, honestly, I would really like to be better at doing web dev. That's like one domain that's a bit, I would say it's intimidating, but there are so many things that you really need to learn when you're doing web dev because it evolved in in so many ways and in so many things. Yeah, and I feel like in order for you to catch up on doing web dev, you need to have like a good amount of patience and time to work on like learning like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then not only that, once that you've learned JavaScript, you have like these different frameworks like React, and integrating different kinds of JavaScript libraries on React, Angular, stuff like that. If I have all the time in the world, that's one thing that I would probably do.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like web development or the tech stack as a whole, I think one of the challenges there is that every few so months there's a new update. There's a You have to like continuously learn a lot of things in order to like get updated with the new tools that we use for day-to-day basis. And I guess it's for the whole tech sector, I guess. But I guess
Mhm.
it's also a beautiful thing that it gets updated. Uh, yeah, I guess that's it. Before we wrap things up, do you have like uh, closing remarks, plug, show us your uh, announcements?
Yeah. Sorry, just one last question from Vanny. I will just answer it, then I can stop.
Oh, okay. I'm
But
sorry. Okay, sure.
it's
Uh,
okay.
can you
Sorry,
read the question? Can you read the question before answering?
so the question is, if we were working remotely right now, so would I rather just do 100% remote, or is there a better work setup for me? In my case, I'd rather want to do a hybrid setup. So if I have the option to go to the office, I'll go. Which in fact right now, we're in a hybrid setup. Like it's our prerogative if we want to go to the office or not. But we're still like work from home. Yeah. Instead of like, going to the office every day or staying at home, like the past 2 years or 3 years of this pandemic, it's really gruesome. I believe that it's taken a toll on everyone's mental health. So, going out once in a while is not bad, but at the same time, having that balance of staying also at the comfort of your home is still different. Yeah.
Highly agreed on that.
Yeah.
Same here.
Basically, yeah, yeah. I guess there's a reasoning for it. Like your home becomes your workplace at the same time, and it becomes weird as it goes for longer, I guess. And yeah, basically, you cannot differentiate. In my opinion, you cannot differentiate like your home and your work anymore. And obviously, your home should be like your safe space. So yeah, I guess I'm all for like a hybrid setup, but it should for me, it should be like optional and not a requirement because the traffic here is also still bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it, and there is no more questions. And yeah, I guess we can move on to like closing remarks or announcements on your end.
Austin, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, so again, thank you Python Philippines for inviting me. And yeah, so we're hiring at Thinking Machines. So if you guys who are watching on YouTube and here on Zoom, if you guys are interested, you can check out our openings at Thinking Machines, thinkingmachine.es/careers. We have a lot of openings right now. We have openings for software engineers, for data engineers, for machine learning consultants. um yeah and also always stay tuned for our announcements. We always post our announcements on our social media. On Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're also on LinkedIn. Follow us on LinkedIn, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And also, we always post like very interesting stories, data stories that sometimes we work with. You can find us at stories that thinking machines. So yeah, we're super happy that I was able to talk here at Python Philippines. Python Philippines has always been one of the one of the coolest partners of Thinking Machines in terms of like promoting Python as a language, and promoting data science and how Python can help uplifting the lives of everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you put in chat the URL for careers so I could also post on YouTube as a comment, as a
Okay.
pinned comment.
Okay. Oops. Sorry. Wait. Uh-huh. Okay. I posted it on chat. Then you can also check our blog posts at stories that thinking machines. Yeah, we regularly post like once a month. At least once a month we post something new. Yeah, we have like cool blog posts on like kailan ka ikakasal, the traffic situation in Metro Manila, yeah, the gender parity of UPCAT. Yeah, so yeah, those are our, we have a lot of like cool blog posts that you can read through.
All right, and before we're going to end the stream in a bit. But first, shout out to everyone who asked questions. Shout out to the people on YouTube: Zorets, Mr. Valdez, Vani Bermudez, Jeff P, and Jan Fundador. Nice name, I still like it. And for those who asked questions, shout out also from Zoom: Jay Mendez, Carl Janvinas, Dale Justiano, and Luisa. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you all so much for joining us on another Work from Home Pythonista episode. See you all at the next episode of Work from Home Pythonista. Happy weekends.
Thank you, everyone. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.